Discipline is the quiet force that separates those who dream from those who achieve. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, and it's definitely not easy. But it's the reason some people rise while others remain stuck. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results, because without it, even the most inspiring dreams remain only dreams. Everyone has goals, visions of who they want to become, where they want to go, and what they want to achieve. But wanting something and working for it are two very different things. Discipline is what transforms that vision into reality. It's the force that connects intention with execution, ambition with achievement, and effort with outcome. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if you lack discipline, you'll never cross that bridge. Discipline is the structure that carries you over the gap between talking about what you want and actually getting it. Most people set goals when they're inspired or motivated, often imagining how amazing life will be once those goals are reached. But the truth is, the path to success is rarely glamorous. It's repetitive, uncomfortable, and filled with moments where quitting feels easier than continuing. Discipline is what keeps you going when the spark fades, when excitement turns into exhaustion, and when progress feels invisible. It's the invisible muscle that grows stronger each time you choose to act, even when it's inconvenient. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you moving when there's no applause, no validation, and no visible reward. Goals are nothing without a process, and discipline is what holds that process together. It's easy to make a plan, but it's discipline that makes you follow it. It's waking up early to train when the bed feels warm. It's choosing to study when distraction calls your name. It's sticking to your principles when no one is watching. Discipline turns "I'll try" into "I will," and "someday" into "today." It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Each time you act with discipline, you're building momentum, and that momentum compounds. Over time, those small, consistent efforts accumulate into massive results. The bridge of discipline is built one step at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time. Discipline doesn't demand that you always feel confident or energetic. It only demands that you show up. The difference between those who achieve and those who don't is rarely talent or luck. It's the willingness to do the work regardless of emotion. Success doesn't come from bursts of intensity. It comes from steady, consistent action. Discipline is what allows you to keep moving when you feel like you're standing still. It reminds you that progress is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. You might not see results right away, but discipline guarantees that you're getting closer every time you commit to the process. The bridge that discipline builds isn't always easy to cross. It's long, often lonely, and full of resistance. But every step across it strengthens you. Discipline teaches you control over your time, your habits, and your reactions. It teaches you patience and endurance. It gives you the power to delay gratification, to trade short-term pleasure for long-term pride. And with each disciplined decision, you build trust in yourself. You start to believe that if you say you'll do something, you'll follow through. That self-trust becomes the foundation of confidence. And confidence becomes the fuel that drives even greater effort. When you commit to discipline, you stop living in the world of if and start living in the world of when. You no longer hope for success, you work for it. You no longer rely on luck, you rely on consistency. The truth is, simple goals mean nothing without the discipline to pursue them. The bridge between what you want and what you get is built from repetition, sacrifice, and daily effort. Every time you choose to act with discipline, you're laying another plank on that bridge, moving closer to the life you envision. Without discipline, you stay on the shore of potential. With it, you cross into achievement. Consistency beats motivation every time, because motivation is fleeting while consistency endures. Motivation depends on emotion. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you wake up fired up, ready to conquer everything in front of you. And other days, that fire simply isn't there. You can't rely on it because it's unpredictable. But consistency is different. Consistency doesn't wait for the perfect mood or ideal conditions. It's the act of showing up every single day, doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. That's where real progress happens. not in the moments of passion, but in the quiet repetition of disciplined effort. Motivation is often romanticized as the key to success, but in truth, it's only the spark that starts the engine. The problem is that sparks fade fast. The excitement you feel when you set a new goal or start a new challenge is powerful, but temporary. When the results take longer than expected, or when the effort becomes uncomfortable, that initial burst of energy fades. Consistency, on the other hand, is what keeps the engine running long after motivation runs out of fuel. It's the decision to keep moving forward, even when your mind screams for rest or distraction. Consistency is the anchor that holds you steady when motivation drifts away. Every person who has ever achieved greatness learned the same truth. Success isn't about doing extraordinary things once in a while. It's about doing ordinary things with extraordinary consistency. It's the daily grind, the small, often invisible efforts that build mastery and character. You can't build strength by going to the gym only when you feel motivated. You can't master a skill by practicing only when it's convenient. You can't build discipline by acting only when you're inspired. Progress belongs to those who stay consistent, who keep showing up no matter what. Motivation might make you start, but consistency ensures you finish. The reason consistency wins is that it creates habits. When you act consistently, the behavior becomes automatic. You no longer need to negotiate with yourself or rely on bursts of emotion to get things done. The work becomes part of who you are. You stop waiting for inspiration and start depending on routine. That's where transformation begins, not in intensity, but in repetition. One day of effort means little, but 1,000 days of steady effort change everything. Consistency compounds over time, turning small steps into massive strides. Every single act of consistency is like a brick, and when you stack enough of them, you build something unshakable. The truth is that life will always test your commitment. There will be days when motivation vanishes completely, when you're tired, frustrated, or uncertain. Those are the days that separate the discipline from the average. The consistent person shows up anyway, not because they feel like it, but because they made a promise to themselves. They understand that consistency isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Missing a step doesn't mean failure, but giving up does. What matters is not how fast you move, but how often you keep moving. The person who shows up imperfectly 100 times will always outperform the person who shows up perfectly a few times. Consistency also builds credibility with others and with yourself. Every time you follow through, you reinforce your own integrity. You prove that your word means something. You start trusting yourself, and that trust fuels confidence. Motivation might make you feel good temporarily, but consistency makes you proud permanently. It gives you evidence of your progress, proof that your effort matters, and that builds unstoppable momentum. When you keep showing up, even on your worst days, you develop mental toughness, the kind of resilience that no temporary burst of motivation can match. In the end, motivation is just a feeling, but consistency is a habit. Feelings fade, habits remain. Motivation gets you to the starting line, but consistency carries you across the finish. The world doesn't reward those who act only when they're inspired. It rewards those who act regardless. Consistency is quiet, steady, and unglamorous, but it's the foundation of all success. When you learn to move forward without depending on emotion, you become unstoppable. Because once you master consistency, you no longer need motivation, you become it. Sacrifice today to own tomorrow is the mindset that separates those who live with purpose from those who live with regret. Every goal worth achieving demands a price, and that price is often paid in the form of sacrifice. It's about giving up something now, comfort, leisure, instant gratification, for something far greater later. The truth is, there's no success without trade-offs. Every dream, every achievement, every breakthrough comes at the cost of something else. Sacrifice is the currency of progress, and those who are willing to pay it are the ones who ultimately win. In a world obsessed with shortcuts and overnight success, sacrifice has become underrated. Everyone wants the reward, but few are willing to endure the process. People admire success stories, but they rarely see the sacrifices behind them. The early mornings, the missed parties, the long hours, the lonely nights. They see the glory, not the grind. Sacrifice is the part no one talks about because it's not glamorous. It's uncomfortable, it's isolating, and it tests your willpower every single day. But it's also the foundation of mastery, freedom, and fulfillment. You cannot own tomorrow if you're not willing to give something up today. When you choose to sacrifice, you are not losing. You're investing. Every time you resist an easy path, you're strengthening your future. Every time you say no to comfort, you're saying yes to growth. The problem is that most people want both. The success and the comfort, the results and the excuses, but life doesn't work that way. You can't hold on to both your limitations and your dreams. You can't have the rewards of discipline without the pain of discipline. You have to choose. Sacrifice is about understanding that every no you say today creates space for a bigger yes tomorrow. It's about thinking long term when the world around you only thinks short term. Sacrifice demands patience. It teaches you to play the long game, to believe in the unseen. You might not see the results immediately, and that's where most people quit. They give up because the payoff isn't instant. But the ones who endure, who stay disciplined even when the rewards are distant, are the ones who eventually rise. Sacrifice is like planting seeds. You don't see growth right away, but with time, effort, and faith, those seeds turn into something extraordinary. The future belongs to those who are willing to delay gratification, who can endure temporary struggle for lasting success. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has lived by this principle. The athlete who sacrifices comfort for training, the student who sacrifices sleep for study, the entrepreneur who sacrifices security for vision, they all understand that what they give up now will pay them back tenfold later. Sacrifice builds strength because it requires discipline. It forces you to master your impulses and focus on your purpose. It sharpens your priorities and reveals what truly matters. Each sacrifice becomes a step toward ownership. Ownership of your craft, your mindset, your destiny. The truth is, you can't build a strong tomorrow on weak choices today. If you always choose what's easy, your life will be hard. But if you choose what's hard, your life will eventually become easy. Sacrifice teaches you that nothing valuable is free, and the greatest rewards are earned through the willingness to endure discomfort now for freedom later. The temporary pain of discipline is far lighter than the lifelong weight of regret. Every time you push through temptation, every time you choose effort over ease, you're investing in your future self. The version of you who will stand taller, stronger, and prouder because of what you refuse to give up. Sacrifice today to own tomorrow is not just about hard work. It's about commitment to a vision bigger than the moment you're in. It's the belief that your future deserves the best of you, not what's left of you after distraction and indulgence. It's the courage to choose purpose over pleasure, effort over excuses, and growth over comfort. The pain of sacrifice may last a moment, but the rewards of ownership last a lifetime. Those who understand this principle stop chasing instant satisfaction and start building a legacy. Because when you're willing to give up what's easy now, you earn the right to live how you want later. That's what it means to truly own tomorrow. Habits build identity because what you do consistently becomes who you are. Every small action, every repeated behavior, every choice you make daily is shaping your character, your mindset, and your future. People often talk about who they want to be. A disciplined person, a leader, an achiever. But identity doesn't come from words or wishes. It comes from repetition. You don't become disciplined by saying you want to be. You become disciplined by practicing discipline every single day. Habits are the silent architects of identity. They carve your personality, define your standards, and dictate the direction of your life. Every habit is a message you send to yourself. When you follow through on a commitment, you reinforce the belief that you're reliable. When you skip a responsibility, you tell yourself that your word doesn't matter. Over time, these messages accumulate, forming your self-image. Identity isn't something that appears suddenly. It's built brick by brick through the choices you make in private. The small things, how you wake up, how you work, how you react under pressure, become the building blocks of who you are. Your habits reflect your priorities, and your priorities reveal your true identity. The power of habits lies in their subtlety. Most people underestimate how much their small, daily actions influence their lives. They think identity is built in big moments, winning the award, landing the job, achieving the goal. But those are just results of the habits that came before. If you want to change who you are, start by changing what you do consistently. Every time you act in alignment with the person you want to become, you cast a vote for that identity. You don't need perfection, just persistence. A single act may not transform you, but repeated action will. Over time, your habits become your default mode, and your default mode defines your destiny. Good habits build strong identities, just as bad habits slowly destroy them. The person who regularly keeps promises to themselves builds confidence. The one who constantly breaks them builds doubt. Your habits either reinforce strength or weakness. They either make you proud or make you question your worth. You can't separate who you are from what you repeatedly do. You can't claim to value discipline if your habits show laziness. You can't claim to value health if your habits show neglect. Your identity and your habits must align. Otherwise, you live in conflict with yourself, and that inner conflict breeds frustration, guilt, and stagnation. Habits also provide structure to your life. When you have strong, purposeful routines, you don't have to rely on willpower to make the right choices. It becomes natural. The disciplined person doesn't have to think about doing the right thing because it's part of who they are. The person who identifies as an athlete trains even when it's hard. The person who identifies as a learner seeks knowledge daily. When your habits and identity merge, effort becomes instinct. That's the true power of habit. It doesn't just change your schedule, it changes your nature. Changing habits means rewriting your identity. It's not easy because your old habits are tied to your old self. Breaking them feels like letting go of a part of you, even if it's a part that holds you back. But every new habit you form, every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're building a stronger version of yourself. You're proving to yourself that you can grow, that you can evolve beyond your old patterns. Identity is fluid, it's not fixed. It shifts with every consistent choice you make. Ultimately, habits are not just about achievement, they're about transformation. They're how you move from who you are to who you want to be. The most powerful change doesn't happen overnight. It happens through the quiet consistency of daily effort. You become your habits. If you want to be confident, build habits that prove you can trust yourself. If you want to be strong, build habits that challenge your limits. If you want to be successful, build habits that move you closer to your purpose every single day. Habits build identity because they prove through action who you truly are. And the moment your actions start reflecting the person you wish to be, that's when you stop pretending and start becoming. Freedom through discipline may sound like a contradiction, but it's one of the deepest truths about success and fulfillment. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want, without restrictions or limits. But that kind of freedom is an illusion. It leads to chaos, distraction, and regret. True freedom isn't the absence of rules, it's the presence of control. It's the ability to command your own mind, body, and actions instead of being controlled by impulses, emotions, or circumstances. Discipline is what gives you that control. It's not a cage. It's the key that unlocks your highest potential. When you lack discipline, you become a slave to your moods and desires. You eat what feels good instead of what's good for you. You waste time because it's easier than focusing. You make promises you don't keep because it's more comfortable to quit than to endure. You may feel free in the moment, but that kind of freedom leads to long-term pain. Pain from missed opportunities, unfulfilled goals, and a life that feels out of control. Discipline demands short-term effort, but delivers long-term liberation. It's the trade of temporary discomfort for lasting peace of mind. Freedom through discipline means taking control of your choices before they take control of you. It means mastering your time, energy, and focus. When you are disciplined, you don't live reactively. You live intentionally. You decide what matters and commit to it. You no longer chase fleeting pleasures because you're focused on lasting rewards. Discipline gives structure to your days and clarity to your purpose. Instead of being pushed around by life, you begin to direct it. The person who lives with discipline isn't trapped. They're in command. They've built habits and systems that create space for real freedom because their life isn't ruled by chaos or confusion. People often avoid discipline because they see it as restriction, as if following a schedule or sticking to rules limits their freedom. But the truth is, lack of structure is what limits you. Without discipline, your potential remains scattered. Without order, your energy gets wasted. Discipline creates efficiency. It helps you get more done with less stress. It creates balance, giving you time for what truly matters. Freedom without discipline is like a car with no steering wheel. It might move, but it has no direction. Discipline gives you that direction and keeps you on course. Discipline also creates mental freedom. When you live without discipline, your mind is constantly filled with guilt, anxiety, and unfinished commitments. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes never. You feel trapped in a cycle of procrastination and regret. But when you live with discipline, you earn inner peace. You don't have to fight with yourself anymore because your actions align with your intentions. That alignment brings confidence, clarity, and calm. You no longer fear failure because you trust your own consistency. That is the freedom most people crave, the freedom to trust themselves completely. Discipline gives you the power to say no when the world pressures you to say yes. It allows you to prioritize what's important over what's urgent. It teaches you that freedom isn't found in doing less. It's found in doing what matters most. When you commit to discipline, you gain control over your habits, your emotions, and your environment. You no longer drift through life hoping for change. You create it. And that ability to shape your life on your own terms, that's the purest form of freedom. The more disciplined you become, the freer you feel. You're free from excuses because you've built habits that replace them. You're free from self-doubt because you've proven your reliability. You're free from chaos because your structure gives you peace. Discipline doesn't limit your life, it expands it. It gives you the time, focus, and strength to pursue what truly fulfills you. The irony is that the people who fear discipline the most are the ones who need it the most. Once they embrace it, they realize discipline isn't punishment, it's empowerment. It's the foundation of self-respect, self-control, and self-mastery. Freedom through discipline is about owning yourself. It's the understanding that true independence comes from responsibility. You can't be free if you can't trust your own decisions, if you can't control your impulses, or if you can't commit to your purpose. Discipline gives you that trust, that control, that mastery. It gives you the ability to create, achieve, and live life without the weight of regret or the chaos of inconsistency. When you live with discipline, you are not confined, you are unleashed. Because in the end, the most powerful form of freedom is the ability to be in control of yourself